With respect, we've tried this before, and it didn't work then either. The teacher's hallway version of that line has more edge. This one came in the meeting polite, public, and aimed at your plan. The room goes still. Somebody studies the agenda like it's suddenly fascinating. Every teacher at the table is watching you, and your face is already doing something you didn't authorize. You've got about 10 seconds, and whatever you do with them, your team is taking notes. Not on the schedule, on you. In 10 seconds, they're going to learn whether it's actually safe to disagree with you in this room, or whether the smart move is to nod, wait you out, and keep the real opinions for the parking lot. Here's the trap that the system trained into us. We treat that pushback like a fire, something to contain, to manage, to put out. Most school leaders spend those 10 seconds deflecting or doubling down. But that pushback is not a fire. It's the most useful thing that's happened in your meeting all month. In this video, I'm going to give you the third option, a 4-part response to resistance. How to read what the pushback actually is and exactly what to say instead of defending yourself. And by the end, I want you to want teachers to push back, because a team that can disagree out loud is a team that thinks together. And a team that thinks together moves kids. Section 1. The villain. Let's name the villain precisely, because it's not the teacher who pushed back. It's the reflex. Yours, mine, every leader's. The reflex to make resistance go away. You know the moves because you've made them yourself. Let's take that offline. I hear you, but the district's decided. The quick pivot to the next agenda item, the hallway repair job after the meeting. Every one of those moves has the same goal: rescue the vibe, get the room comfortable again. And we learned them honestly. Nobody ever trained us to use conflict. They trained us to manage it. Smooth meetings got praised. Contentious ones got noticed. But the change research keeps finding the same thing, and Michael Fullen has been saying it for decades. The people who resist a change are often carrying information the people driving the change don't have. The pushback isn't noise in your data. Sometimes the pushback is the data. The reflex throws that data away, and it's worse than one lost conversation. Every time you smooth it over, you teach the room that pushback gets managed. So we need a replacement for the reflex. I call it mine, don't manage. And I want to give credit. It has two good parents. One is Elena Aguilar, who coaches school teams for a living. And in her book, The Art of Coaching Team, talks about mining resistance, digging into, because there's something valuable down there. And also Susan Scott. We'll spend time with her in the next video, but a whole conversation model on the same picture. She calls it mineral rights, drilling down question by question, because the valuable stuff is never sitting on the surface. Managing resistance means making it disappear, but mining it means treating it as precious ore. 4 parts. Part 1. Read it. Before you say a single word, you need a 1-second diagnosis, because resistance comes in 2 kinds, and they need different responses. The first kind, a limited perspective. We've tried it in 2019 and it can never work. That's fear wearing a fact costume, a protective belief, usually built from a real scar. Aguilar's insight is that most resistance is fear in disguise. Fear of incompetence, fear of more workload, fear of losing something that currently works. Now the second kind, a legitimate concern. The schedule gives us our co-taught sections 7 fewer minutes of reading support. Well, that's not a fear. That's a design flaw that you haven't accounted for. And if you smooth over it, you ship the flaw. And here's the diagnostic that changed how I coach this. It comes from Keegan and Leahy's immunity to change research. The teacher who resists usually isn't uncommitted. She's double committed, genuinely committed to student growth, and also committed to something that change threatens: her competence, her planning time, her standing with the team. Keegan and Leahy call this competing commitments. One foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, and from the outside it looks like defiance, but from the inside it's two commitments that are colliding. Here's the problem. You can't tell which kind you're facing in front of the room while defending yourself. So that's part 2 and 3. Roll, don't wrestle. Ask one real question. Part 2 is about what you don't do. You don't try to talk them out of it. There's a whole field of counseling psychology built on this. It's called motivational interviewing, and it was developed by William Miller and Stephen Rolnick. And their most useful finding for team leaders is this: the harder you push someone to change, the better they get at defending the status quo. Every counter argument you offer gives the other person another rep at arguing for staying the same. Miller and Rolnick have a name for that urge to jump in and fix it: the righting reflex. And in their framework, rule number 1 is resist the righting reflex. You cannot win that wrestling match. Pinning someone proves your grip, not your plan. So you roll. Let the pushback land without counter, which frees you for part 3, the single highest leverage move in the entire video. Edgar Schein, in his book Humble Inquiry, is defined as asking questions to which you don't already know the answer, and he named the feeling underneath it: here and now humility. Right now, in this moment, you actually are dependent on that teacher, on her buy-in, on what she knows about her kids that you don't. The question only works if that dependence is real to you. So here's the language. Help me understand what's behind that for you. What are you seeing that I'm not? And what would make this worth trying for you? And then, this is the hard part, you stop talking. No but, no context. The silence after the real question is where the mining happens. Section 4. Reframe the stuck language. Once the team is talking, really talking, you'll hear the stuck language. This won't work. These kids can't. Admin never. It's sweeping. It's permanent. It's closed. Your job isn't to contradict it. It's to shrink it until it's testable. This won't work becomes, what would have to be true for this to work with your third block? We've tried it before becomes, what was missing last time that we'd need this time? You're not supplying the argument for the change. You're asking the question that lets her supply it. People believe their own sentence far more than they believe yours. And there's a discipline for your side of the exchange. Bill Torbert, in his book Action Inquiry, breaks skilled speech into 4 parts: framing, advocating, illustrating, and inquiry. Under pressure, most of us collapse into pure advocacy. Point, point, point. Torbert's fix: use all 4 and end with inquiry. Frame why you're saying it. Advocate your view in 1 sentence. Illustrate with 1 concrete example. Then hand the floor back with a genuine question, and I recommend a humble inquiry. Advocacy that ends in inquiry is a conversation. Advocacy that ends in advocacy is a lecture. And Jennifer Abrams, who writes about hard conversations specifically for educators, makes the same point from the receiving end. The language that works is shaped around what the other person needs in order to hear it, not what you need to get off your chest. The payoff: what mining buys you. Here's what changes when you run this instead of the reflex. Sometimes the mine pays out precious ore. The pushback was a legitimate concern. You called a design flaw early, and the plan gets better before it reaches kids. Sometimes it pays out differently. The fear underneath gets named, and the limiting perspective starts to loosen, not because you argued, because you asked. But the biggest payout is what it does for your team. Remember green light 5 from the last video: reward the messenger. A leader who minds resistance in public is running the most convincing advertisement there is that honesty is safe here. The teacher who pushed back took the biggest interpersonal risk in the building, and everyone watched it pay off. And that's the real stakes. A team where pushback gets mined instead of managed is a team that thinks together. And that's the engine research call objective teacher efficacy, one of the strongest levers we have on student achievement. Teams with collective teacher efficacy move kids. And they keep teachers. Nobody's leaving a building where their voice actually counts. One move this week. When resistance surfaces, it could be in a meeting, in a hallway, in a one-on-one, pause, drop the defense you were already loading, and ask one real question. Help me understand what's behind that for you. Then listen, don't defend, don't redirect, just find out what actually is in the mind. Now, that's one teacher pushing back, but you felt the other versions. The whole team disagrees. With you, with each other, with everything. The meeting turns into a debate that circles for an hour and lands nowhere. And everyone leaves with the same open question they walked in with. That's not a resistance problem. That's a whole different kind of problem, and that has a name, and that's our next video. So before you go, the free Hard Conversation Starter Kit is linked in the description. It's got the Team Agreement Builder and the Data Interrogation Question Bank, the foundation this whole series is built on. So hit subscribe so the next video finds you. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.